Mythology Trivia Speed Round 9. Track how many questions you can get right. Question: which three sisters shared one eye and one tooth among them? The answer is the gray A. Fun fact: Perseus tricked them into revealing the location of Medusa by stealing their shared eye. Question: who was the only mortal granted immortality by Zeus, but not eternal youth? The answer is Tithonus. Fun fact: he aged endlessly until he shriveled into a cicada, forever singing but never dying. Question: which hero's ghost demanded that the Greeks sacrifice Polyxena before they could sail home from Troy? The answer is Achilles. Fun fact: his spirit appeared at Troy's ruins, insisting on the offering as repayment. Question: who warned the Trojans not to trust the horse, saying, "Beware of Greeks bearing gifts"? The answer is Laocoon. Fun fact: he and his sons were killed by sea serpents sent by the gods for his warning. Question: what goddess does Euripides often portray as vengeful toward mortals? The answer is Aphrodite. Fun fact: she punishes Hippolytus for rejecting her worship. Question: what tragic play depicts the Queen of Troy's revenge on the killers of her son? The answer is Hecuba by Euripides. Fun fact: Hecuba blinds her son's murderers with her own hands. Question: what Greek playwright wrote Prometheus Bound, dramatizing the Titan's punishment? The answer is Aeschylus. Fun fact: legend says an eagle dropped a turtle on his bald head, killing him. Question: who was the faithful swineherd who helped Odysseus reclaim his throne? The answer is Eumaeus. Fun fact: despite thinking Odysseus was dead, he remained loyal. Question: which hero tamed the winged horse Pegasus before slaying the Chimera? The answer is Bellerophon. Fun fact: he captured Pegasus using a golden bridle given to him by Athena in a dream. Question: which muse was associated with epic poetry and is often depicted holding a writing tablet? The answer is Calliope. Fun fact: Homer is said to have invoked Calliope at the beginning of both the Iliad and the Odyssey. Question: who is the main female protagonist of Hippolytus by Euripides? The answer is Phaedra. Fun fact: Phaedra's name means bright in ancient Greek, yet her myth is one of the darkest tragedies in Greek mythology. Question: what unpleasant task did Hercules perform for his fifth labor? The answer is cleaning the Augean stables. Fun fact: he diverted 2 rivers to wash out decades of filth in a single day. Question: which queen of Thebes mocked Leto and was punished when all her children were slain? The answer is Niobe. Fun fact: she turned to stone from grief, and tears still flowed from her petrified face. Question: which nymph was transformed into a laurel tree to escape the god Apollo's pursuit? The answer is Daphne. Fun fact: heartbroken Apollo wore a crown of laurel leaves to honor her, a symbol of poetic victory. Question: which Greek god was known as the messenger of dreams and son of the god of sleep? The answer is Oneros. Fun fact: the Oneroi were spirits of dreams. Morpheus was the most famous among them. Question: who was the goddess of magic and crossroads, often depicted holding torches? The answer is Hecate. Fun fact: she was believed to guard the boundaries between the mortal world and the spirit realm. Question: what bard recited the stories of Troy to Odysseus in the underworld? The answer is Demodocus. Fun fact: he represents Homer himself within the Odyssey. Question: which Titan was the father of the sun god Helios and the moon goddess Selene? The answer is Hyperion. Fun fact: Hyperion's name means he who goes above, reflecting his celestial domain. Question: what goddess personified law and natural order? The answer is Dike. Fun fact: Dike's name literally means justice, and she reported human crimes to Zeus. Question: which Greek god represents sleep and is often depicted as gentle and winged? The answer is Hypnos. Fun fact: Hypnos was said to live in a dark cave where the river Lethe flowed. Question: which goddess intervened to free Orestes from the Furies' torment? The answer is Athena. Fun fact: she established the Areopagus, Athens' first court of law, during his trial. Question: who was condemned to eternally spin on a burning wheel in the underworld? The answer is Ixion. Fun fact: he was punished for trying to seduce Hera, a bad idea for any mortal. Question: what Greek warrior committed suicide after losing Achilles' armor to Odysseus? The answer is Ajax the Great. Fun fact: his rage led him to slaughter livestock, thinking they were his enemies. Question: who was the mother of Apollo and Artemis? The answer is Leto. Fun fact: she gave birth on the floating island of Delos to avoid Hera's wrath. Question: which Titaness personified memory and was the mother of the 9 Muses? The answer is Mnemosyne. Fun fact: her name is the root of the modern word mnemonic, meaning a memory aid. Thanks for watching. Comment below to let us know how many questions you got right. If you like this video, tap like, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share with friends. See you in the next video.